amazing. I have created utopia. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Today I have a somewhat different video than my usual agenda, right? It's not a care collab and it's not a haul. So probably everyone's like, oh mein Gott, was ist passiert? But rest assured, everything's fine. I just want to share the plants that are in bloom in my collection right now. A common theme that you will notice today is fragrant plants. I'm a very olfactory person. Scents and fragrances are an integral part of any sensory experience. A flower can be as beautiful as it wants. If it doesn't smell, it's not nearly as attractive to me as it could be if it had a fragrance, even if it's a very mild fragrance. And so I really try to curate my collection accordingly. I guess as we move along and as more and more plants mature, you'll be able to see my agenda behind selecting plants. So yeah, with that out of the way, let's just go on. We don't have all day. Rude. Okay, let's just start with the elephant in the room, my red Miltoniopsis. This plant was basically the first orchid I bought to start this collection here. I always used to have something growing as a child. Looking back, I've grown quite a few Nelly Eilers and other Oncidium types. But when I saw this Miltoniopsis, I was just blown away. So I've had this for a year and a half now, and I bought it in bloom. It was just kind of 3 bulbs. And when I started to look into this plant, I saw that many people say they're super finicky, they're super hard to grow, they're not vigorous, they just wither off. Summers kill them, they hate temperatures over 30 degrees, they need basically greenhouse conditions, super high humidity and all of that stuff. And I don't know, not in my hands. This plant is an absolute beast. So it's been in bloom more or less constantly since December, and it's June right now. So yeah, I don't know what I can say. Basically every new growth it produces will have a flower spike on it, unless you're a dum-dum like me and you break them. I broke several of the spikes, but you probably already spotted it. There's another one here. So this would be the 3rd spike on this growth, on this fat bulb, and you can see it's also producing a new growth there on the side. And in the center, this plant is getting bigger and bigger. And yeah, whenever people tell you Miltoniopsis are not vigorous, I can't agree. I think they're very, very easygoing plants. You just have to keep them constantly moist. I grow mine in a mixture of very fine bark, as you can see here, it's very fine bark, and sphagnum moss. And I always keep a little water down there in the reservoir, and that just keeps them alive. This plant, just as the color would suggest, has a very strong rose fragrance, but it's not just rose. It's a little spicy and also has some notes of honey. So it's a very complex fragrance and I really enjoy it. And this is actually also my mom's favorite plant. So whenever my mom comes and visits and this plant is in bloom, she'll just sit there and adore this plant, and I can't blame her. It's a very impressive specimen and I'm super proud of having it. Next up, we have this Miltoniopsis, so mainly white with some magenta and yellow spotting. I bought this one last year in summer. I got it together with one that was white with dark purple spotting. Unfortunately, that one arrived without roots and then just didn't make it. But now I have this one as well, and I really like this one because it has a completely different color than any plant I have in bloom right now, and it also has a very different fragrance. So unlike the other one, which has a more rosy fragrance, this plant smells mostly of lemons, and it's very strong in the morning. So when I wake up in the morning, basically the entire room smells like freshly cut lemons, and that's amazing. So yeah, then we also have a Phalaenopsis here, yada yada blah blah. Smells like lily of the valleys. Great, amazing, love it. Then the next plant here on the windowsill is my Psychopsis mariposa. I got this in a more or less recent haul, came already with a bud. Unfortunately this one blasted and it just dropped it, but now the next bud in line opened up. I really like this flower. It's a very unusual shape. It looks almost a little insectoid, has a very large lip and very excitingly shaped flowers. I like these three little spikes up here, and this plant is also lightly fragrant. So whenever I read up about the Psychopsis, no one ever mentioned their fragrance, but this one has a slight, almost lilac-y scent, so that's really exciting. Another reason why I really like this plant is it's a consecutive bloomer. So while this one is in full bloom right now, like there is the next bud already maturing. So I feel like this plant is going to be in bloom for quite some time. Then the next nice part is, if we follow this right here, it's working on a new spike. So that means there might be several spikes, several active spikes in the future. So this would be in constant bloom. And even if it wasn't, the leaves have a really interesting pattern on them. It's kind of a slight mottled effect. So even as a foliage plant without any blooms, this plant would be very, very nice to display. And if we look here, there's something happening at the base. I don't know if you can see this. There's something happening at the base. I don't know if this is yet another spike or a new growth. To be honest, I would like to see another vegetative growth just to give the plant some more storage organs. But let's see. Then this one is a plant I have already shown in a previous video, but this is a secondary bloom on it. It's my Tolumnia Red Corona. This flower is kind of on its way out, but as you can see, it's a very interestingly shaped flower. Very much a sunset color palette that we're working with here. And I'm really proud that this one produced flowers on a secondary spike. As you can see, the other ones had already fallen, and then it decided to put out another bud and flower that. So that's a really great feature of Tolumnias. Speaking of being able to reflower, this is another Tolumnia that I have in bloom right now, and this is the third flush of flowers it's producing from this spike here. Very, very happy with this plant. I got this from Orchids and More in a haul in February, I want to say. And while it doesn't produce a lot of flowers at a time, it's more of a consecutive bloomer. So you have a very long time with this plant. It's just a joy because it keeps putting out 2 or 3 flowers at a time. And then, last but not least, this is in spike right now, but the flowers are about to open. Another Tolumnia. This is Tolumnia Red Corona, and I'm really happy with this little flower spike. I hope the display is going to be good. I have not seen this plant in bloom, but if we look closely, it's already branching here on the side. So that is very promising of a spectacular bloom display, and I can't wait to have it in bloom. And we're back just a few days later to find the flowers have opened, and I'm extremely happy. This is the first time I see this plant in bloom, and look at it. Tolumnia Red Corona. The spots, I'm a big fan of the spotting on the lip. The color, it's kind of a yellowish background with various shades of red and pink. Very, very nice. Super happy to have it in bloom. Super happy to have it in bloom. And look, this in the background, the branching spike is growing as well. So this is going to be extremely exciting. Okay, thanks a lot for watching my video. I'm just gonna return to enjoying my plants. I love sitting here just with a book, some tea, and just relaxing and enjoying the little jungle paradise that I have in my flat. I highly recommend to you, if you have a little corner in your flat or your house, like really spend time here. You know, we don't know when the next pandemic is gonna hit us, so be prepared. Make your home an oasis, because we all know the world is a cruel place out there. Holy shit, things are getting really deep right now. And before I ramble on more about the WHATS that we all go through, I'm just gonna cut it here. Have a nice day. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye.